Thank you so much for coming this afternoon. My name is Debbie Dawkins. I'm Vice President of the Centerville-Washington Foundation, and I'll be emceeing today's event. We come together today to celebrate 25 years of giving back to the community and to highlight this year's founder's honoree, Brady Kress. To get us started, please welcome the Foundation's President, Brendan Cunningham.
Welcome. As Debbie said, my name is Brendan Cunningham, and I have the privilege of serving as president of the Foundation. I'd just like to start the afternoon by recognizing some people for all their hard work and support. And I'd like to start with our current board members, Mamali Aneen, Mike Beavis, Scott Caldwell, Debbie Dawkins, Artie Garg, Bob Hansen, Carol Kennard, Jack Lobeck, Chris McAlpin, Kevin McDonald, Kate Tragenstein, and Kelly Ewell. Also our ex officio members, Dale Berry, Mayor Brooks Compton, and our emeritus board members, Richard Carr and Robert Daly. Board members, please stand and be recognized. Next, we'd like to acknowledge our community leaders, elected and appointed officials, and administrators. Please stand when I read your name, but I ask you to please hold applause till all are standing. From the Centerville-Washington Park District, Alex Pearl, Jason Riley. From the City of Centerville, Mayor Brooks Compton, Wayne Davis. From Montgomery County Treasurer, John McManus. The Washington Centerville Public Library, Liz Foltz, Shelby Quinlan. And from Washington Township, Dale Berry, Sharon Lowry, Gary Smiga, and Mike Thornrow. Thank you for all your leadership. We're fortunate to have in attendance past founder honorees. Please help me welcome Bob Daly, Charles Goodwin, the Reverend Harvey Smith, and Paul Stoll. Thanks to the generous support of our sponsors, the Centerville-Washington Foundation is able to give back to our community. Please review the list of sponsors on the program and give them thanks when you see them. We would like to recognize our top sponsors. Our platinum level sponsors, the Dayton Foundation, Brady and Amy Kress, Jack and Debbie Lobeck, Richard and Jane Schwartz, and Bill and Kelly Ewell. One last minute sponsor that didn't make it to your program, a gold level sponsor, Tony Huffman. We'd like to give a special thanks to the Miami Valley Communications Council and Richard Diaz for taping today's program, Bob Daly for his wonderful photography of the event, Kelly Ewell for the centerpieces, and Lucy Baker, our representative at the Dayton Foundation. As we are combining our founders event and annual meeting for the first time, we have a little bit of business to conduct. We'd like to recognize outgoing board member Jack Lobeck and give thanks to him for his time and talents given to our foundation over the past 9 years. Jack, would you please come forward?
One more year, Jack.
The emeritus board status is given to former board members who gave long-term service that contributed greatly to the success of the foundation. I would like to announce our newest emeritus board member, Jack Lobeck. We have a gift for Jack. And creatively, if you notice our team here at the board, decorated this in chains, so we can't let Jack get too far from the organization.
Thanks.
Okay. Congratulations, Jack. And I'd like to also recognize our two new board members to the foundation this year, Aaron Agarwal and Kress Wysong. Please stand. This year, the Centerville-Washington Foundation is celebrating 25 years of giving back. Since 1998, we have reached new giving levels annually and now are approaching $500,000 in donations. We are so grateful for the generosity and support of individuals, businesses who help us build our community. The CWF provides grants in the areas of education, poverty, environment, arts, health, diversity, and social services. We accomplish this using generous donations from individual contributors, corporate sponsors, and legacy donors who desire to make a positive impact in our community. I hope that you had the chance to visit with our 2023 Community Support Grant recipients that are displaying around the room today. The Centerville Community Chorus, the Centerville-Washington Park District, Feeding Friends Food Pantry, Ohio Hospice of Dayton, Pink Ribbon Good, Sixa Pet Adoption and Wellness Center, and the Washington Township Rexplex. If I could have representatives from those organizations please stand and be recognized. This year, the foundation awarded 2 community impact grants. We are pleased to hear more about these projects. Please welcome Stephanie Lasuna from the Therapeutic Riding Institute share about their funded project.
Thank you so much for having me here today. It is a big honor to be representing the Therapeutic Riding Institute, also known as TRI. We're very excited in 2023 to be celebrating our 50th anniversary, which is a big deal. We were founded in 1973 by a couple of visionaries named Betty Lou Townley and Lyndon Moore, and it started in Betty Lou's backyard with a couple of volunteers, and people would haul in horses. And now we are really excited to have our own farm, 23.5 acres in Spring Valley, which is about 15 minutes up the street. So TRI's mission is to enhance lives by providing high quality and accredited equine assisted services in a safe, fun, and compassionate environment. We are the only premier accredited center by the Professional Association of Therapeutic Horsemanship, also known as PATH, in the Dayton region. So that's an honor that we do not take lightly. We just actually were reaccredited a couple of weeks ago, which is a pretty big deal. This means that not only are all of our instructors highly accredited, but our entire center meets really high levels of safety and quality standards. We operate on a budget of about $500,000. I wanted to point out that about 23% of our riders come from Centerville-Washington Township. Our primary programs are therapeutic or adaptive horseback riding for people with disabilities or some type of diagnosis, and we have a therapeutic riding summer camp, and we also have some new equine-assisted counseling programs. One of them is what's called Warriors in Step with Horses, which is a veteran program. We call that WISH. And then Taking the Reins is our group counseling program. Currently, we have a program going for teens. We'll also be running programs for younger children as well as adults. So this is, I won't run through them, but this is a list of some of the diagnoses that we serve at TRI. I would say anxiety, autism are some ones that we see a lot of our students with, but anywhere from spina bifida, cerebral palsy, just a wide array of different challenges, both physically and mental health challenges. So with our new 23.5 acre farm that we purchased in 2019, we found a lot of different needs to have our own vehicle, which we've never had before. One of the biggest needs is to actually haul horses. We were donated a beautiful 3-horse trailer about 2 years ago. We didn't have our own truck to haul that, We've been hauling it with one of our staff members' trucks, so that obviously presents quite a bit of limitations. So we may need to take horses to and from. If there was an emergency that our local vet couldn't help with and we had to haul a horse quickly to, say, Ohio State, we would be able to do that to different clinics for training. We weekly have our equine manager takes our horses to a local horse trainer named Tom Pompey. He used to teach at Centerville High School, so she works with him. So we've been able to take the truck and haul a horse to work with Tom. And then our hope someday is to even have our students participate in Special Olympics. So some other uses are really just some practical things: hauling debris from the farm, hauling large items, going to get gasoline for our tractor and other farm equipment. That's been a challenge. We've had to really use our own personal vehicles for those things, and now we don't have to. But we also are excited to be able to promote our funders, such as the Centerville-Washington Foundation, on our truck, as well as the Centerville Noon Optimist, the Physicians Charitable of the Miami Valley, and some other donors. So I wanted to share this little story, Ireland's Special Wish. This was just a very unique situation where we had a need to take one of our horses. We were contacted by Special Wish to conduct a wish for this little girl, Ireland, who you'll see on the slide. This was last fall, and her wish was to ride a horse. She was at Dayton Children's. Sadly, she was not well enough to be able to come to our farm or really even to ride a horse, but we were able to take this little pony, Bella, who we dressed up like a unicorn with a horn, and they wheeled Ireland out through the transport unit at the hospital, and we brought Bella up to her, and so she was really able to have a special experience with Bella and was able to brush her and give her treats, and it just really made her and the family's day. Sadly, Ireland did not make it, but she passed a couple days later, but we were really just very honored to be able to share that experience with her, and that's something that our truck will be able to do, these special types of one-off things as well, such as this trip to Dayton Children's. So just want to say thank you and show you pictures of what the truck looks like. It is a 2016 Dodge Ram 2500, I believe, and so it's beautiful. As you can see, we finally have that purchased and wrapped, and we're able to showcase a little bit about what we do, as well as thank you on our truck. So we're really just so grateful for your support and for receiving this impact grant, and being able to elevate the work that we're doing at TRI because of you. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Stephanie. Our second community impact grant this year was awarded to the Washington Centerville Public Library. Please welcome Liz Foltz, Director of the Washington Centerville Public Library, to share about their funded project.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for being here today and for allowing me to talk a little bit about the exhibit that we have coming that was funded through the Community Impact Grant. We're bringing to the community The Wall That Heals, which is a 3/4 size replica of the Vietnam Memorial Wall that's in Washington, D.C. And I could tell you about it, but I'd like to show this video because I think the images and the words from the people, it just shows just how grand this is and how meaningful it is to those who served and those who had family members that served. I think it can do way more justice than I can do myself. Okay, as you can see, this is really quite an exhibit. It's quite large. It's 374 feet long, larger than what we would be able to have at either of our libraries. So the Washington Centerville Park District has graciously agreed to help us host this. It will be at Yankee Park. Here's a quick schedule of events. It arrives on July 25th. There will be a motorcycle escort that will come down Alex Bell and Far Hills and 725, escorting the semi-tractor trailer to the park. We set up on July 26th, and there's some volunteer training that day. And then it opens in the morning of July 27th. We'll have an opening ceremony, and it's open continuously from that 24 hours until it closes on Sunday morning. An event this large is going to take a lot of hands to pull it off. First of all, we just need everyone to help us spread the word. We want to have as many people there in attendance as possible. We also have an immediate need. On the table is also a flyer for the In Memory program. And what this will do is anyone who went over and served in the war and came home and then later passed, they can be recognized at this wall here locally. It comes with a mobile education center, and so they will recognize those people there as well. We also need help with volunteers. There's setup, tear down, greeters, traffic control, helping locate names. So if anyone is interested in coming out and helping us, we would be more than happy to have you join us that day. So thank you again to the foundation for allowing us the opportunity to bring this to the community. It's really going to bring in, I feel like it's going to bring in a lot of people. I've taken phone calls already from people as far away as Trumbull County that are planning to come down to visit this. So we're really looking forward to having this and recognizing our veterans in this way. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Liz. We are pleased to be able to support these two worthy projects. I'll also mention that during 2023, component fund of the Washington Foundation was set up. The Brad Bucher Elk Pride Never Dies Memorial Fund was set up through the generous contribution of Bob Crawford. Thanks, Bob. We have a kickoff event for that fund July 30th in collaboration with Rob Dement, Athletic Director at Centerville High School, and the City of Centerville at Stubbs Park. So visit our website and check Facebook for more information on that. Now we'll turn the program back over to Debbie Dawkins to help us honor today's honoree, Brady Kress.
Thank you, Brenda. Brady Kress has been a leader in the Centerville-Washington Foundation community since he was young and has shared his love of preserving history through storytelling across the greater Dayton area. I would like to draw your attention to the special cookies on the table created by Rachel Bakes. They represent Brady's interests. 3 of them anyway: the Walton House, where he taught historical crafts to many, the Boy Scouts of America, the Eagle Scout logo, as he is an Eagle Scout, and the Right Bee Flyer, an iconic representation of Dayton history. Today we will have speakers in person and on video to honor Brady and his contributions to our community.
Hey, I'm Roy Underhill, and I'm not a craftsman, but I play one on TV. And I've been looking high and low trying to find somebody who's done more for Centerville, Washington, and all of Dayton than Brady Kress. There's nobody. So I'm happy to join you all on Founders Day to congratulate and thank Brady for all of his great work. Thanks, Brady, and may the grain be with you always.
Centerville-Washington Foundation is pleased to recognize Brady Kress as its 2023 Founders Honoree. A hometown storyteller, Kress got his start at Centerville-Washington Township, graduating from Centerville High School and Wright State University. His impact on the community is still evident from the time he spent earning his Eagle Scout rank to his active participation in the community's bicentennial celebration. He is, in fact, a fifth-generation Daytonian, learning woodworking skills using the same tools as his grandfather did.
I've known Brady for 20-plus years. There's a long history and relationship between the Dayton Foundation and Carillon Park. So when Mary Matthews, longtime director here at the park that just did a phenomenal job, when she retired and it was time to figure out who would follow in those big shoes, there was a search process. And obviously Brady came out of that process, but was a candidate and really got to first meet and begin to understand the creativity and the big picture thinking of Brady 20-some years ago.
15 years ago, I was the chairman of the board of Carillon Park before it was Dayton history. And Mary Matthews, who was the executive director at that time, was leaving, announced her retirement, and so I formed a search committee to find a new executive director. And Brady applied for the job. And the most memorable thing was not only our interview with him, but one of the members on the committee was Chuck Obramovitz, who's no longer with us, unfortunately. Chuck was probably in his 80s then. And after we had personally interviewed, I believe it was 4 candidates in one day, after narrowing it down, we started talking about the 4 candidates. And we talked a little bit, and someone finally said, you know, I really like that Brady Kress guy, but my God, he's so young. And Chuck Obramovitz, in his 80s or 90s, said, well, that's why you better hire him. So that's my first memory of Brady.
You know, I feel like I've always known Brady in some capacity. I think we met through the Dayton Rotary, but we have been a part of an executive dialogue group through the Dayton Chamber for the past at least 15 years.
Today, Brady Kress is the president and CEO of Dayton History. Under his leadership, Carillon Historical Park has become one of the premier cultural destinations in the region. Brady Kress continues to encourage people to share their stories and enthusiasm about the region and embodies the phrase, "You can't go a day without Dayton."
You know, Brady's a unbelievably creative, visionary person, and he can picture and see what stories, what resonates with the residents of Dayton. And he's got just an uncanny knack of figuring that out and saying, now how do we mobilize? How do we rally around telling those stories? So when you think about what's happened with the park over the last 20 or 30 years, you know, Mary Matthews was unbelievable, took it to a whole new level. And in comes this Brady who started here, this young guy who started here at the park as a teenager, and he's taken it to even a higher level than Mary did. And it's this vision, this ability to rally people around the stories that resonate to us as Daytonians.
His first impact, of course, is on this beautiful museum, Carillon Park. And also, one of the first things that was done under Brady's leadership was the merging of the Montgomery County Historical Society and Carillon Park, which gives us today what is Dayton history. And his impact is amazing what it was on the park. You build it and they will come. I mean, 800 people showed up yesterday for the unveiling of the locomotive. Amazing. He built it and they came.
Kress is known for his commitment to preserving and sharing the rich history of Dayton and the Miami Valley region. He has overseen the development of numerous exhibits and educational programs at Carillon Historical Park, including the Wright Brothers Aviation Center, which houses the world's largest collection of Wright Brothers memorabilia.
First of all, he's extremely creative. And as most creative people, he tends to be a little disorganized. If you haven't been in his office and tried to find his desk under all the papers, you won't know what I'm talking about, but go take a look. But he's amazingly creative, and he's got a great way with people, and he has done a fabulous job of embracing the community and finding ways and resources to do what he's been able to do since he's been here.
There's a unique thing about Brady in that he is the only person I have ever met, to my knowledge, to have built his own coffin. He's going to be buried in the coffin. It is his coffin. He has built his own coffin in which to be buried. So I find that very, on some levels, disturbing. Another level, very prepared. I like being prepared for things, so I appreciate that.
Brady's got an uncanny knack. When you look at the whole sphere, the whole realm, the whole range of history, what's important and why? What resonates? Why are certain stories important and others aren't? He's got this unbelievable ability to zero in and say, these stories matter, and these stories will resonate. And then he rallies individuals in our community, donors that also care about those stories. And what ends up is what we have today in Dayton history at Carillon Park. Just an unbelievable place to tell the stories of why Dayton's history matters to the world. And you come to the park, you leave feeling better about yourself, you leave feeling better about your community, and you're proud to call Dayton your home.
Thank you, Brady, for the dedication, effort, and vision you've brought to Dayton, Centerville, and Washington Township. We'd like to thank Terry O'Brien from Tri-Level Productions for creating the video that you saw. What a wonderful video. Our speaker today is Mary Matthews, former director of Carillon Historical Park, who gave Brady his first job there when he was a teen. Please welcome Mary.
Well, a teenager with many talents and a man for all seasons are a good beginning description for Brady that you've already heard about. We are so fortunate to have a native Daytonian like Brady as a promoter of our history and an anchor to our present and to our future. Brady's love of the park began when his dad was at NCR, and as you saw in the photographs, he began coming to the park as a child and also visiting Old River. He began working at Carillon Park when he was 15 and a half. That was a little of a challenge. That was not the law, of course, and so his parents and I had to make special calls to be sure that it would be all right, and they said yes for 6 months if he worked limited hours. And so he did. He immediately brought creative ideas to the park. In costume, he did blacksmith demonstrations in a shop that is not there anymore, but he continues that blacksmithing. In costume, he rode a high-wheel bike when we opened a bicycle exhibit. And then, when he got his driver's license, he came to the park in a car that had a front bumper made out of a 2x4. Or was it a 4x6? It was a board that because he had practically remade the car that he bought to drive to work. After graduating from Wright State, Brady and his wife Amy, who he met at Caroline Park, by the way, when they were both guides, moved to Indiana, and Brady was with the Historic Landmarks Foundation, one of the things that hadn't been mentioned on the screen yet. And he was later elected president of the Association of Indiana Museums. It was from Indiana that he came to Caroline Park, back home. In 2003, he was named executive director. We moved a desk. He came in November before, and I was retiring in December. We moved a desk into my office, and so Brady could sit there and hear who I was talking to on the telephone or meet the people who were coming in and going out, and no telling what he was thinking. I'm certainly not going to be doing that. Or this is a good person that I can be calling on in the future. But it was a good time from November and December for Brady to get ready to take on what he was going to be doing. Now, more than 20 years later, we've seen many, many accomplishments. You've heard a lot about him, so I've scratched through a lot of things that I was going to say, because the first one was combining the Montgomery County Historical Society and Caroline Park into one entity. But now, the new entity at that time, Dayton History, manages the Archives Center, the Paul Lawrence Dunbar House, Hawthorne Hill, the Patterson Homestead, the old courthouse, Memorial Hall, the museum at Mound Laboratories, just to name a few of them. Brady's probably added a few more, and he can tell you those. And in addition to doing all of this work, he's been a board member at the Dayton-Montgomery County Convention and Visitors Bureau, the Engineers Club. These are just a couple of the places that I think were not mentioned on the film. The National Aviation Heritage Alliance. He served on the Facilities Committee of Normandy Church. How smart of them to have him on the Facilities Committee. And he and Amy are members of the President's Council at Colonial Williamsburg. And I am guessing now that Colonial Williamsburg is asking Brady for information and for guidance, much as you were looking to them early on. Brady has continued to expand the stories of the Miami Valley, as you've heard, with new buildings, new exhibits, and the latest being the full-size reproduction of an 1851 locomotive that visitors can ride. At the dedication, the train's builder, who came from England for the occasion, said, "This train installation is one of the top, if not the top, in the United States." Quite a compliment. And this is just the beginning. Brady has plenty of ideas for the future that maybe he wants to talk about today. And I'm predicting, I don't know what the rules are here, but I'm predicting that in the next 10 to 20 years, he might be honored again for the accomplishments that will be happening in the future here. So it's quite an honor to introduce to you Brady Kress.
Wow. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mary. It was very nice of you to put that together. What a great honor this is. and I wanted to clear up some things. First of all, I can't believe you got Roy Underhill to do that. Man, talk about a lifelong hero of mine. That's just fantastic. That's great. I need to write him a letter somehow. This is great. Also, to clarify, the coffin is not finished. It's just one of those projects, that's out there. So I appreciate it. Well, I'll take my time. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Ryan. Yeah. It really is it's fantastic. I stand at the door seeing everybody come in. I'm just so thrilled that you're all here, and I really, really do appreciate it. All you folks and the the foundation trustees and Mary, and I'll tell you, I wasn't sure what to expect with this. I thought, well, maybe Dean Martin is going to come out of the back, a full roast of things I've been working on. But it's great. When Kevin McDonald called me to tell me about this, I was like, wow. Do you think maybe you could consider me in 20 years? I'm not finished, so I feel like I'm maybe a little premature, but I certainly appreciate it. And one of the things, as I was looking through the list of just amazing people that have received this in the past, I thought, I'm really lucky, because I'm positive that I'm probably the first recipient of this to be able to have my parents and my in-laws here to watch me get this honor. So I appreciate that. I'm very, very lucky. And the other thing I told Kevin and Carol as well, when they told me about this, is my gosh, I really feel like I'm just kind of doing my job. I don't know that there needs to be, this is very special of you to honor me this way. I'm just trying to keep things moving forward and doing what I think should be done, and largely doing what I think Colonel Deeds, the founder of the park, would want me doing, what he might have wanted to do if he had lived long to do it. So I really kind of, with all respect to my current board, I kind of feel like I'm working for Colonel Deeds, and I have a fantastic board that helps me try and realize those dreams. But I'll tell you that the reality is that it's all of you folks that this is about. I mean, I say this all the time. Carillon Park specifically, and Patterson Homestead and Hawthorne Hill, like Mary mentioned, they're privately owned entities. And the only way we can grow those sites is with donors. It is a donor-driven organization, as most nonprofits are. And so, as we go through, and I could point to every single thing that's at Carillon Park, and whether it was something that Mary built or that I've built in the last few years, I can see the face of the people that made that happen. So it really, it's about you. There are, when I think about that, you're not going to finish today without a history lesson. I'm sorry, but we are just about to. It's at the printers right now. We're publishing the unfinished autobiography of John H. Patterson, and it was one of these things that was in the archive. It's been on a shelf since 1922 when Patterson passed away. We're finally getting it into print. And one of the things that was on the wall at the NCR factory for 40 years was a quote, and it was, "We are part of all we have met." And from John Patterson's perspective, from a sales perspective, that really means leave a lasting legacy with your account, leave a lasting impression with your customer. It also means, it's really important who you spend time with, and that you're a part of all we have met. Spending the time with the right people, as my father would always tell me, you spend time with people you want to be like. Folks with bad habits sometimes are not the people you want to be hanging out with. So I, tried to do that, and it's super important. It's why I spend so much time with my dad and with my mom and with my in-laws and with Governor Taft. These people I want to be like, right? Thanks for being here, Governor. But also, we are a part of all we have met. If you reverse that means that everyone I've met, I carry a little part of them around with me. and that's really special. There are a lot of folks. If you'll indulge me for a second, and Tony Huffman mentioned one of them. There are a lot of people that passed on. That one of the great lessons that Mary Matthews taught me in sitting across from her at the other desk in that office. It's a true story. One of the things she said to me, she called me over and she said, "Now look at this notepad." And it was a legal pad. She said, "I have every name of every person who's called me and what they wanted and a time." He said, "If you're not doing this now," Tony told you all about my organizational skills. This was the one thing that Mary Matthews said, "Do this. You might find this really, really useful." So I have, in almost 20 years, I have about 6 of these. And they have, it's a list of everybody that I have had a phone conversation with in the last 20 years. And I was going through that not long ago, and it's really amazing the people that have helped me that aren't with us. They're here, but they're here with us. But they stuck around long enough just to help me to be here in front of you. And if you'll indulge me for just a second, Reed Williamson over in Indiana, preservation legend, who called me in and allowed me to operate his museums around the state of Indiana. As Tony mentioned, Chuck Abramovitz, who decided I should be the one to be hired because I was young, because I was too young, perhaps, to take that on. Fred Smith, and I noticed he's one of the original recipients here. Fred Smith, I had lunch with him, former president of Huffy Corporation, about 2 weeks into coming back to Dayton. And we're at lunch, we're at the old Culp's Cafe, and we sit down, and I go to pick up my menu, and he says, "Put that down right now." I said, "Oh, yes, sir." He said, "You need to tell me right now whether you're going to be a custodian or a change agent." And I said, "Well, I'd like to be a change agent." He said, "Right answer. You could order lunch now." So just so helpful. Bob Neff, who adopted my cause and the cause at Carillon Park. A lot of larger organizations have the benefit of having a lobbyist somewhere. Bob Neff rose his hand and said, "I'll do that for you." Governor Taft did that for me too, but both driving over to Columbus with me to meet with people to see if we could work on some projects. Just fantastic. Lee Whitney. There couldn't have been a louder cheerleader for Carillon Park and for the things we were trying to do. Really championed the entire volunteer effort. We have 400 volunteers that Kay manages for us at the park. He started that. He was the cheerleader for that. It was fantastic. Rick Grant, Dennis Hannigan, Ray Keaton, Bob Yeck, all so enthusiastic about our ideas and where we were going. Roger Glass and Bob Breathen. These guys are so helpful, and they would arrive at meetings with checks, oftentimes already written, and we'd talk about a project, and these are 6-figure checks, and we'd talk about a project, and you make the ask, and they said that's what I had in mind, and they'd pull these checks out, and it's just amazingly generous people that make all this happen. It's not me, it's these folks. Bob Breathen actually, in a meeting with Tony Huffman, the two of us went to see him. He actually called in the other room to his secretary to say, "Bring me my checkbook." Yeah, write you a 6-figure check right there out of his checkbook. It's just fabulous. Skip Ordeman, who I think had me on speed dial every 4 weeks, just to see how he could help. And incidentally, I owe him a Dayton Sports Heritage Center that is going to be on the list of future projects here at the park that we need to be working on. Dick Cummings, retired dentist from Oakwood, he'd lose sleep. He'd stay awake at night thinking through projects and how to help so that I wouldn't. He'd be outside my office in the morning and say, "Well, I was thinking about something last night. If we do this and do this," you can't repay these people. It's just unbelievable. Harold Reek, just always there, whatever you needed, advice or help with a program or help with a project, and somebody who he would end every phone call with telling me he loved me. Just a sweetheart of a man. And Mary, thanks for being here. My brother Tim, who I lost, I did lose him. He was taken from me. Too much to talk about there. And my executive assistant, Pam Ribick, who was always keeping me in line. I did kind of describe, and she did the same for Mary, kind of describe her as the cross between a surrogate mother and the Berlin Wall. She's just fine. We lost her a little while ago. So I thank all of them. I thank all of you. I thank my entire team at Carillon Park. Kay is here, and Joy and Alex, and my board, both former board and current board, George and Steve and Karen, Mary, and Eric's in the back here, and Ron Rollins, and I mean everybody just been fantastic in helping me get through the last few years. So thank you. But one more thing. Just, boy, I got through everybody else, and wow. See, I can never run for governor. You can't do this when you're running for governor. No, one more thing. I need to thank my girls, my wife Amy and my daughters Katie and Sarah, for their support and understanding that every other vacation photo is of a bench, a sign, a trash can, an exhibit case, collected from various museums and attractions around the world, and that the statement that it's for the park is enough of an excuse for why the workshop, the basement, the backyard, and the office are all filled with blueprints and parts and pieces of half-finished projects for Carillon Park. So thank you. So with that, thank you very much. I really do appreciate it.
Brady's accomplishments have greatly impacted the Dayton region and connected countless individuals to the history and heritage of our community. We thank you, and the community thanks you for all that you do. Thank you to the generosity of our donors to today's event. The Centerville-Washington Foundation is pleased to present a check to the Centerville-Washington History in the amount of $2,000.
Again, as we close today's event, let's think about what a founder is. It's someone who helps others and helps those around them serve as well. So let's stand again and thank Brady for who he is and all that he's done to make our community better. Thank you, Brady, and thank you all for joining us today.